this is potentially a first round opponent for the Edmonton Oilers. And the Stars would scare me as a first round opponent just because of Jake Ottinger alone. Like, I don't think their forward group is necessarily as good as the Oilers. I think their blue line with a guy like Miro Heiskanen, he's probably one of the few defensemen who can keep up with Connor McDavid. But what do you make of this matchup and the way the Oilers kind of look against the Stars or match up against them?
Yeah, I think so that it should be a third round matchup. So I think that's like two of the better teams in the conference, although it's like not exactly the Oilers are not there in the standings, but I think like from playoff teams, I think they both like could go really far. So it would be a bummer to have them in the first round.
I think, like what you said, Tyler, if the Oilers do get Dallas in the first round, Jake Ottinger is probably going to be the X factor in the entire series. I mean, look what he did to the Calgary Flames last season, right? Calgary weren't they the number one team in the West last year or second, whatever it was? They won the division, whatever, right? Played Dallas, took him to 7 games. It took overtime in game 7 to get Calgary past Dallas. So, yeah, it's they're a difficult team. And like you said, that forward group probably isn't as good as they want it to be, but Robertson's been very good this season. Roope Hintz can turn it up. Joe Pavelski is just going to stand in front of the net and tip everything that goes in. So that's what they do. And this team is kind of, even when they went to the Stanley Cup final, was their forward group that great? Like it was good, but they basically rely on like just a good defensive structure and good goaltending. That's what they've got. So yeah, it's going to be a tough game for the Oilers. But last time they played Dallas, they did beat them, and that was the Oilers Nation Christmas party, I think it was, right? Yeah, when we watched at Soho there.
Oh, yeah, down in Dallas.
Yeah, so
because they lost in Edmonton earlier this year.
Yes, they did, and that was that the one where the shot went through Jack Campbell's glove?
Yeah, that was a tough game.
The memories.
Well, that shouldn't, knock on wood, happen tonight because Stuart Skinner is the expected starter for the Edmonton Oilers. Edmonton and Dallas could very realistically be a first-round playoff matchup. Like we said, if Edmonton were to sit in that number 1 wildcard spot, which is possible, Dallas could potentially be the lower of the 2 division winners, which means that would be the matchup. It's also very possible that if Edmonton were to squeak into one of those, or hold on to their spot, I should say, as one of the 3 Pacific Division playoff teams, this could be a third-round playoff matchup. Like, I think that was a great point, Tim. Like, these 2 teams are both very much built where they could go deep. And that is a team I wouldn't want to face early in the playoffs if I was the Edmonton Oilers. Maybe we'll switch up the way we usually do things. Let's do the lineup report now, Aaron, and just talk a little bit more about the opposition here in Dallas. Because that top line is about as good as any. Probably one of the few top lines that you could look at and say it's close to being at the level of the Oilers when they put McDavid and Draisaitl together. Roope Hintz has 32 goals on the year. Jason Robertson could very well be a Hart Trophy candidate at the end of the year. He's not winning the damn thing. We know that's Connor McDavid's. Joe Pavelski is a guy who gets better when the playoffs roll around. Like, that top line will be a problem. I don't love their depth. Wyatt Johnston, rookie on the second line. He's playing tonight with Evgeny Dadonov and Jamie Benn. Jamie Benn bounce back year. That is great. They don't have Tyler Seguin. He was cut with a skate on his leg and is still out of the lineup. That was an ugly one.
That has been happening far too often.
That's actually something they brought up at the GM meeting. So the NHL GMs are looking at grandfathering in some rules where players have to wear cut-resistant clothing.
It even happened the other week in a Crusaders game too. It's horrible to see, and it must be such a horrible. I can't even imagine we saw it. Brad Marchand too the other week. It's crazy. Obviously, Evander Kane.
So with Seguin out, Wyatt Johnston's moved up the lineup a little bit here. Radek Faksa with Max Domi and Ty Dellandrea. That rounds out kind of their top 9. With Seguin in the lineup, it looks a lot better because they can move Johnston down, and he plays on a third line with Domi, which is a decent third line. But similar to the Oilers almost in a way. I don't love their depth on the right side. Their fourth line, Luke Glendening, Joel Kiviranta, and Fredrik Olofsson. Kiviranta is a guy who is remembered for what he did in the bubble here a couple of years ago. Remember that playoff run when he just went like unconscious? He scored like 8 goals in 4 games or something.
Had a hat trick.
I was saying that was probably the reason why they went to the final, because I had someone who's like always like showing up at the end of the game and everything. So what happened to him?
Well, he's got 7 goals this year. And again, it feels like that year in the bubble, he scored 7 goals in like a 1-week stretch.
In one game, probably.
But he's down on the fourth line right now. On the D pairings for the Dallas Stars, The top duo, which I expect to see a lot of Connor McDavid tonight, is Miro Heiskanen and Colin Miller. Esa Lindell with Jani Hakanpää on the second. And on the third pairing, it's Ryan Suter with Joel Hanley. They have a couple of players out of the lineup tonight, including Mason Marchment and Tyler Seguin.